7:27 in Trinidad and Tobago. Well, let's talk about the issue of discrimination, shall we, which is so relevant in a place like Trinidad and Tobago with competing interests, competing priorities, a battle for resources and so on. But Trinidad and Tobago is joining with the rest of the world in observing Zero Discrimination today, which is today, with the hope of creating a more equitable world. This falls in line with the mandate of the Equal Opportunity Commission here in Trinidad and Tobago, established by an Act of Parliament in 2008. What is the relevance of the day when it comes to the perspective of the EOC? Well, we're joined now by the chairman of the Equal Opportunity Commission, Ian Roach, attorney at law with significant experience, not just in this jurisdiction, but other nations, including the nations of Southern and West Africa. Mr. Roach, very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Brazil. Good morning to your viewers. And good morning, Trinidad and Tobago generally.
Tell us, from your perspective, as chairman of the EOC, what significance do you place on Zero Discrimination Day?
Well, first of all, the Zero Discrimination Day, which is celebrated on the 1st of March by UN, it started off from recognition of the stigma and the discrimination associated with persons suffering with AIDS in 2014. And since then, it has been expanded to include a whole host of other forms of discrimination. And the fact that the Equal Opportunity is joining all other countries in the world to celebrate, to commemorate actually this day that is so of such significance, especially to Trinidad and Tobago in our context, because we do have a problem with discrimination across the board in Trinidad and Tobago. And fortunately for us, we have an institution that has been mandated by the Equal Opportunities Act, even though limited to just 4 different categories of discrimination, to look into it and try to bring our society to a situation where where people can feel less discriminated against, and there's equal opportunity for all citizens of Trinidad and Tobago.
And before we talk about those 4 categories, and before we talk about the effectiveness of the organization, given all the many challenges that we face in Trinidad and Tobago, is there anything particular being done today by the EOC to mark the day? I know we are all limited by COVID-19. Is anything special being done?
Well, to the extent that we are permitted with the restrictions that you have just mentioned, and in terms of what budgetary restrictions as well, we have sought to engage news. As I am on this medium with you. My other colleagues, the deputy chair is on CNC3, and the director of legal services is also on TTT, trying to highlight the work of the EOC. There is also some, I guess we are dealing with, there's a news article that I contributed to this morning, and there are other forms that the members of staff will be engaging in terms of trying to reach out, our community reach in getting into the message out of the existence of the EOC and what it is capable of in assisting the country to realize a society that is devoid of discrimination in all forms and fashion.
Well, let's talk about the remit of the EOC, shall we? And even as we do so, if you need to reach out to the EOC, you can reach them on their website, www.equalopportunity.gov.tt. That's www.equalopportunity.gov.tt. You can reach them at 672-0928, extension 231, 672-0928, extension 231, and I'm sure that there will be a Facebook presence and on social media as well. But Mr. Roach, let's talk about the remit, because you mentioned 4 specific categories of discrimination that are dealt with by the EOC. Would you care to share that with us?
Yes, but the 4 categories is according to the Act. Let me make reference to this: education, employment, provision of goods and services, and accommodation. And they have 7 categories of status, which includes the list of is provided in Section 7 and Section 6 of the Act, and it includes sex, race, ethnicity, origin, including geographical origin, religion, marital status, and any disability of that person.
And within all those parameters, are you satisfied that the EOC is adequately resourced to deal with complaints of discrimination?
As it stands right now, I would say that we are reasonably resourced because of the volume of complaints that we get. For instance, in 2020, we got about, I think 98 complaints, and we were able to investigate all of them. Different levels of resolution came about, and since its existence, I think the EOC has engaged over 1,702 complaints came to the EOC during that course of its existence. So I think that given the more aware the EOC is made to Trinidad and Tobago, and the more people understand what is the function of the EOC, I think, and we receive more complaints, then more than likely our present resources may not necessarily be able to cope with it. But for now, I think we are reasonably resourced to deal with what is being filed at the EOC and to be investigated.
And again, just to repeat those four broad categories: employment, education, accommodation, and goods and services. And the status grounds for discrimination are race, ethnicity, sex, religion, disability, marital status, and origin, which means like what geographical origin, what area you come from. So if someone has a complaint, you wanted to make a point.
Religion as well, and religion as well.
Religion, yes, religion. I think I mentioned religion. But if someone has a complaint, let's just say I have a complaint about something or the other that I feel discriminated against in some form or fashion, either in the public sector or the private sector. What do I do as far as liaising with the EOC?
Well, what you can do, first of all, is that the EOC has its website, which you just alluded to the public. You can either come in and file a written complaint, or you can go online and download the complaint form and file a complaint. Once received, we will then contact you sometime within a short space of time to have an interview where we interview and we look at the complaint. The complaint, if it is one that is merited, we will then investigate it. It will be investigated by reaching out again to the respondent, the person, the discriminator, to provide certain information to us. And of course, if they do not respond, there are also penalties and ways of us enforcing either their attendance or forcing them to provide the information we ask, which is a criminal offense. Because to discriminate in Trinidad, because for the four categories I want to offer, after the investigation is done and the parties are invited to come in, if we think that it can be conciliated, conciliation is held between the parties. There's maybe one, two, three, maybe several conciliation. And if we think it's a possibility that it will be resolved, then it should be resolved between the parties. And the parties will then sign an agreement, which then will be forwarded to the Equal Opportunities Tribunal and be registered as an order that can be enforced as a high court order in case of breach. If the conciliation doesn't prove fruitful, what will then happen is that we will then, with the consent of the complainant, forward it to the Equal Opportunities Tribunal to be litigated. Under the mandate of the Act, we are supposed to initiate with the consent of the complainant. So therefore, it now becomes a matter before the Equal Opportunity Tribunal, which is also provided and created under the Equal Opportunities Act. And it has the same status of that of a high court, the Court of Superior Record, where they can issue fines and damages in the same way. And fortunately, in that instance, they also have the type of what I say, flexibility or large discretion in ordering the type of damages that you can award, like in the industrial court.
And before we conclude, Mr. Roach, and we thank you and your colleagues and using other media as well to transmit the information on this Zero Discrimination Day. But something comes to mind immediately, and I wonder if it falls into any of the categories. Hairstyle. If I'm being discriminated because of my hairstyle at work, does that fall into any of the categories?
Yeah, that should be able to come in. I mean, I should be coming if it's the status under discrimination under, let me see, probably employment. If you are employed employment, and it's because that other persons are being that similar circumstance are being discriminated, are being treated differently to you because of your hairstyle. some particular characteristics of those things. Yes, it could be eventually.
Because the reason I bring it up, Mr. Roach, it don't fall under race, it don't fall under ethnicity, it don't fall under sex, it don't fall under religion, it don't fall under disability, it don't fall under marital status or origin. Because I could say that, look at somebody of the same ethnicity as you who work in there, but it's just because of your hairstyle that they don't want you there.
Yes, but I mean, as you said, if it's an employment, right, the provision of goods and services, and you are being discriminated against, and it can show that persons who are, because about a comparator, if persons who are equally in the same similar circumstances, but you are treated less favorably because of that distinction of your hair. Yes, that's a form of discrimination, and it prevents you in your employment from being promoted or whatever it is. It can be addressed by the Equal Opportunity Commission. I think it can come within the mandate, yes.
And before we conclude, Mr. Roach, and I know it can be a very, very, very complex situation when we're talking about issues of discrimination, because then human emotion will come into the discussion and so on. But on this Zero Discrimination Day, and as we remind everybody again, if they would like to, you can reach out to the Equal Opportunity Commission at their website, and I just pulled it up myself, equalopportunity.gov.tt, and it's a very straightforward process to lodge a complaint or to get more information. There are many different options that are available to you. What is your final message to us this morning as far as reaching out to the general public to make them aware of the existence and the services offered by the EOC, Mr. Roach?
Thank you for that. What I will say is that the Equal Opportunity Commission is an independent creation of statute, and it is there precisely to serve the interests of the entire population of Trinidad and Tobago. So if it is that persons feel, because under the 4 categories of discrimination, I mean, we are work in progress in terms of expanding. We have made suggestions and recommendations to the government to expand the mandate for discrimination. So more categories will come in, like what you asked about, to be more specific, and that they make themselves aware of our website. And from time to time, part of our mandate is to educate the public, to reach out into various communities. We do things, visit places of employment, schools, different things like that, to educate people of the purpose of the EOC, and also serve as an encouragement in people treating each other on the basis of being human, a humanistic approach. Because, I mean, first and foremost, we are humans before anything else. And this is what people need to bear in mind. And thinking in that kind of way and getting that type of message outside, discrimination, inequality erodes the opportunity of the country as a whole. That we must, in trying to be better citizens, in trying to be better whatever we are, wherever we find ourselves placed, we must deal with each other as we like to be dealt with. That is what I would like to say. And I would like to say that the Equal Opportunity Commission is very much engaged. It is reviewing its plans for moving forward for the next 3 years. We were fortunate to have a strategy plan from the last board, and I must commend Mrs. Lynette Sibaran and her team of commissioners for doing a strat plan, which reveal a lot of vital information for us, our work presently moving forward. So it's a sort of continuation, like a relay, and that in that it provides certain areas where we can focus our attention, where discrimination to be more rampant. And if I could just quickly mention, it was found to be more rampant in employment, in seeking employment, and the provision of goods and services from public enterprises. So if more people become aware, as we hope that they will come during the term of my office, of my term here as chairman, that people will have greater access and make more use of the Equal Opportunity Commission in trying to resolve issues where they encounter in terms of discrimination.
Mr. Roach, thank you very much indeed for taking the time to give us this very important information as far as the operation of this of the organization, the EOC, on this World Zero Discrimination Day. Thank you very much once again.
All right, well, thank you too for having me. Thank you very much.
You're more than welcome, Ian Roach, indeed. And I think he said it correctly, because at the end of the day, sometimes we don't realize that as human beings we're dealing with, and the way we treat people, would we like to be treated in, would we tolerate being treated in that way? And sometimes just that very basic perspective we shoot past that in dealing with so many other issues, but it was good of Mr. Roach to bring up that very fundamental point when we talk about issues related to discrimination. 7:42 in Trinidad and Tobago. As we go to the break, and when we come back, we'll take your calls on the success of the Trinidad and Tobago Red Force in the Regional Super 50. Here are a couple of images from Joycelyn to take us to the break. The first is of a mustard plant. Okay, I would have obviously no idea that this is where your mustard will come from. And the second, she captions, "Oh, karaili." And you know, a good fried karaili, fried down properly with a bit of saltfish and so on, and a little dal and rice. And you are fasting today. Let me not talk too much about food at 7:43. We'll be back right after this.